What if I told you that Matheus Nunes isn't just a Manchester City player, but a product of doubt, pressure, and the harshest form of reinvention in modern football? From an immigrant kid waking up at dawn to work in a bakery, to a Premier League star once questioned by Pep Guardiola himself, Nunes stood on the edge of failure and then pulled himself back with a transformation no one saw coming. Off the pitch, he lives in the silence of power. On it, he's being forged into a new pillar. The next chapter of Matheus Nunes has begun, and this time, there's no room for mistakes. One decision, one reinvention. How Matheus Nunes saved his career at Manchester City. Matheus Nunes was born on August 27, 1998, in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, into a family with no football background or special advantages. At just 12 years old, his life took a dramatic turn when he moved with his mother and English stepfather to Portugal, settling in Ericeira, a quiet seaside town near Lisbon. It was here that Nunes had to start from absolute zero. No friends, no connections, and not even the paperwork required to play official matches during his first year. During that time, all Nunes could do was train, but it was on the training ground that his talent began to surface. Local coaches quickly noticed that the Brazilian-born youngster had a special relationship with the ball, blending South American technique with an unusually high work rate. Talent alone, however, wasn't enough to support his family. As a teenager, Nunes woke up every day at 5 a.m. to work at his godfather's bakery, helping bake and sell pastries before attending football training in the evenings. The brutal routine nearly broke him, but it also forged the discipline and mental toughness that would define his career. After years in the lower divisions, his first major breakthrough came in 2018, when Estoril Praia offered him a professional opportunity. He impressed immediately, especially in a cup match against Sporting CP. Just months later, in January 2019, Sporting signed Nunes for around $500,000, a fee that now looks almost unbelievable in hindsight. At Sporting, under head coach Ruben Amorim, Matheus Nunes developed into a key box-to-box midfielder. He played an important role in Sporting's historic 2020-21 Primeira Liga title, ending the club's 19-year wait for a league championship. His style stood out for his powerful ball carrying from deep, relentless stamina, press resistance, and explosive long strides. His rise caught the attention of Europe's elite, and after Manchester City faced Sporting in the 2022 Champions League, Pep Guardiola famously described Nunes as one of the best players in the world. In the summer of 2022, Nunes joined Wolverhampton Wanderers for a club record fee of around $42 million. In the Premier League, his ability to progress the ball was evident, but goals and assists were harder to come by amid Wolves' instability and frequent managerial changes. Even so, his potential remained undeniable. In September 2023, Matheus Nunes completed a $53 million move to Manchester City, stepping into the most demanding environment of his career. There, he faced his greatest challenge yet, adapting to Pep Guardiola's complex tactical system. Early on, Nunes struggled to settle into a defined role, and was even publicly described by Guardiola as not clever enough to play in midfield, a crushing blow to his confidence and reputation. But instead of fading, Nunes reinvented himself in a way no one expected. In early 2025, with City short on right-backs, Pep made a bold decision and deployed Nunes in the position. What followed was a transformation. Once a doubted midfielder, Nunes evolved into a modern right-back, defensively reliable, tactically intelligent, and still capable of influencing the game like a midfielder in possession. During the 2025-26 season, he made over 40 appearances, scored 5 goals, delivered 11 assists, and established himself as Manchester City's first-choice option on the right flank, an essential component in Guardiola's system. Yet this is not the end of the story. At 27, entering the prime of his career, Matheus Nunes is still writing his journey, no longer searching for a place to belong, but shaping the future with authority. And for a player who has survived doubt time and again, the most unsettling thought isn't what he has already become. It's what he may still become next. The Madrid scandal. A rare, turbulent night in Matheus Nunes' career. Throughout his career, Matheus Nunes has largely avoided off-field controversy. However, in the early hours of September 8th, his name unexpectedly appeared across Spanish media following a disputed incident in Madrid. According to El Mundo, Nunes was briefly detained by Madrid police for questioning after an altercation at the La Riviera nightclub around 5:30 a.m. The incident reportedly began when a 58-year-old man attempted to take a photo of Nunes inside the club's restroom without his consent. In a moment of anger, the Portuguese midfielder was alleged to have taken the man's mobile phone and refused to return it. Police were called to the scene shortly afterward. Authorities confirmed that a Portuguese national born in 1998 was handcuffed and taken to a police station in the Arganzuela district for questioning. While the birth year matches that of Matheus Nunes, Madrid police declined to officially confirm the footballer's identity, stating only that an arrest had been made in connection with a suspected phone theft. The individual was released several hours later following legal intervention. Sources close to Nunes denied that he was formally arrested, claiming the situation involved a brief confrontation after he reacted to what he perceived as harassment. No charges or sanctions were announced. Just days later, Nunes returned to the pitch in a Manchester City shirt, as if nothing had happened. Yet that night in Madrid left a lingering question. For a player operating at the highest level, even a single moment of lost control can turn a private incident into a headline watched across Europe. Matheus Nunes' garage surprises many, quiet but loaded with power. After rewriting his career on the pitch, from a doubted midfielder to a key figure on the right flank, Matheus Nunes began expressing control in a different way off the field. Not through words, not through social media, but through movement. And that's where the story of his garage begins. Silent, cold, and not meant for the crowd. The Lamborghini Urus, valued at around $200,000, is the vehicle most often associated with Nunes when he arrives at training or heads into private meetings. This isn't a Lamborghini built to shock or demand attention. It's a quiet weapon. High ground clearance, a powerful V8 engine, and just fast enough to disappear before the cameras lock in. The Urus mirrors Nunes' own journey. Explosive strength, internal drive, no noise, no permission asked. Alongside it sits the Mercedes-AMG G63, a roughly $180,000 SUV favored by executives and political figures. Boxy, armored in presence, and nearly silent inside, it offers absolute insulation from the outside world. This isn't a car for emotion or thrill, it's for control. When Nunes is behind the wheel of the G63, he's not just traveling, he's disconnecting. And when balance is required between performance and restraint, the Porsche Cayenne Turbo, priced around $160,000, steps in. Not flashy, not aggressive. The Cayenne is the choice of someone who truly understands cars. Sharp steering response, minimalistic interior, and enough presence to fit any setting without ever becoming the focal point. That, too, is Nunes' signature. Present, but never stared at. The most striking detail? None of these cars exist to be displayed. They don't tell stories about horsepower. They tell stories about timing. They don't speak of luxury. They speak of moving first. For Matheus Nunes, a supercar isn't defined by price or engine noise, but by the ability to arrive and have the world instinctively make space, then leave in silence before anyone dares to ask why. Why Matheus Nunes chooses yachts over mansions to unwind. If land is where Matheus Nunes controls space, then the sea is where he reclaims time for himself. For Nunes, a yacht is never a stage to be seen on. It's a door that shuts out the spotlight, a place to disappear at exactly the right moment. Nunes does not publicly own a mega yacht bearing his name. Instead, he typically charters mid to high-end yachts measuring around 24-30 meters, models commonly found in the Azimuth or Sunseeker class, vessels that would be valued between $4 to $8 million if purchased outright. Large enough to disconnect, but never oversized enough to attract attention, perfectly aligned with his mindset. Absolute privacy, zero exhibition. The layout on board prioritizes openness and calm. Wide sun decks, wind-protected lounges, light wood cabins, natural lighting, and sleeping quarters designed for family and a very small inner circle. No DJs, no parties, no packed itineraries. At sea, everything slows down, deliberately. Nunes' routes usually trace the Mediterranean, Portugal, southern France, Spain. Waters familiar enough to feel safe, discreet enough to stay invisible. Out there, he isn't a right flank cornerstone or a multi-million-pound signing. He's simply a man who treats silence as the highest form of luxury. Most importantly, Nunes' yacht life isn't about proving wealth. It exists to protect rhythm. And when it no longer serves that purpose, he's ready to step away, cleanly, without attachment. Because for Matheus Nunes, ownership has never been the goal. Control and the ability to disappear at the right time is the destination. From Mille to Rolex, the watches that define Matheus Nunes' status. When he leaves the sea behind and returns to a high-speed world, the one thing Matheus Nunes carries with him isn't excess, it's time. And in his world, time is never left to chance. It's worn on the wrist as a form of silent authority. At the very top sits Mille, timepieces valued at $300,000 and beyond. Ultra-light, ultra-resistant, engineered to withstand extreme pressure. These are not watches meant simply to tell time, but to signal that their owner is built for environments where decisions are made in fractions of a second. A Mille appears when status must be declared, then disappears without explanation. Just beneath that is the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak, $80,000, $120,000. A symbol of structure and legacy. Its iconic octagonal bezel, integrated steel bracelet, and finely tuned movement beneath the surface make it anything but flashy, yet heavy enough in meaning for those who understand. It reflects Nunes at maturity, controlling tempo, commanding respect without raising his voice. At the foundation lies the Rolex Submariner, $35,000, $45,000. A watch built on absolute discipline. Clean design, solid steel construction, near flawless reliability. The Submariner doesn't need introduction and never needs to show off. It's the watch of everyday execution. On time, on task, no wasted detail. Exactly how Nunes operates on the pitch. Efficient, precise, always arriving when it matters most. The true value of this collection isn't in price tags or rarity, but in timing. Each watch appears only when the moment demands it, then vanishes with him. For Matheus Nunes, Time isn't worn for decoration. Its power held in silence, used before the world even realizes something has shifted. Matheus Nunes and the charity that never makes headlines. Matheus Nunes's charitable work mirrors the way he lives and plays football. Discreet, purposeful, and without the need for recognition. No press conferences, no media campaigns, no turning generosity into branding. His focus is personal, centered on the places that shaped him. Immigrant communities in Portugal and Brazil, where children grow up with limited means but limitless ambition, just as he once did. Nunes regularly provides financial support to local football academies, covering training costs, equipment, and school fees for families who otherwise couldn't afford to let their children pursue sport. Beyond football, he also quietly contributes to pediatric hospitals and organizations supporting underprivileged children, particularly in the post-pandemic period. No figures are disclosed. His name appears on no plaques. Everything is handled through trusted intermediaries and close family members. For Nunes, charity isn't about giving back in a performative sense. It's about keeping the door behind him open, so kids who walk the same road he once did still have a chance to step into the light. In a world where glamour so often masks substance, the way Matheus Nunes gives in silence may be the clearest proof of his depth and character beyond the pitch. The unanswered questions surrounding Matheus Nunes's life and career continue to hold the football world's attention. From a player once openly doubted at Manchester City to a reborn figure in a role no one saw coming, Nunes now stands at a critical crossroads. Either cement himself as a long-term pillar of a new era, or face continued trials in the most unforgiving environment in European football. Will the Etihad be the place where his authority is fully forged, or merely a transitional chapter in a journey with no final act yet written? The future of Matheus Nunes is unfolding, cold, relentless, and reserved for those who don't hesitate. Do you think Nunes has truly found his place, or is this only the beginning? Drop your thoughts in the comments and follow along as we continue to uncover the stories behind the spotlight of elite football.